What's up, everybody? It is the Dark Conservatarian, and I need myself a new greeting for you all. Not referring to that video little intro right there, as Night Shift goes complimenting on it. He's all like, dude, what is this awesomeness I'm listening to right now? Well, thanks a lot, Night Shift 10,000. But no, not referring to that. I need to come up with my own signature little greeting for you guys when I actually go on the airwaves, the audio airwaves right here. Because I'm actually, quite frankly, kind of jealous about PSA Sitch watching his live streams, as he always starts us off with, "Hey now! It's your boy PSA Sitch here with a Sunday live stream." And you know, if any of y'all have watched those live streams, they're pretty cool. And I just think that it's a really, not very much classy, I guess is not the appropriate word, but just a very fiery intro, let's suffice to say. But hello everyone else, and Red Feather, JC Armitage, Daniel Hempel, and Sentinel 1000. So yeah, so starting off here, y'all might be wondering, Zach, Darkon, where's the TJ Kirk video that you said that you were going to respond to this week? You said that you were going to be responding to TJ Kirk last week instead of Hasan. Well, here's the thing though. I gone across this video over the weekend, and I just thought that it was so ridiculous that I could not hold it off much longer. I mean, TJ Kirk, we will eventually get back to him on the second video that I told you all that I was going to respond to, but for right now, I just thought I'd respond to this bit right here. So, Hasan Piker, aka Hasan Abi on YouTube. Anyways, y'all know Cenk Uyghur's, quite frankly, even more unhinged than him and psychotic nephew, Cenk Uyghur's nephew, I mean, and former YouTube, or is not YouTube, TYT member, is now going solo on Twitch and also on YouTube. He released a video here called LeBron James Canceled for Wanting Accountability. Now, this is referring to the whole Ma'Khia Bryant story, and I realized that I tackled this like a couple months ago, but I still thought that some of the issues that he raises up in here are still worth trying to tackle anyways. And he says, canceled for wanting accountability. Like, I got watching through the entirety of this video right here a little bit earlier today, and he does not technically say cancel culture, I don't think anyways, that LeBron James is getting canceled or whatever, but is he like just clickbaiting, putting a clickbaity title? I mean, does he actually believe his own title, or did his editor decide to act on his own whim and decide to say canceled to sort of grab the clicks a little bit more? But let's presume for right now that Hasan actually believes that LeBron James is getting canceled, quote unquote, by conservatives for calling for accountability on Officer Reardon for shooting Ma'Khia Bryant for almost stabbing that one girl who was in pink. And I just go wondering, like, do you even know what cancel culture is, Hasan? Like, this seems to be a consistent thing that I am seeing on the left here. Just sort of my opening commentary right here. This seems to be a rather consistent thing from the left, is that you'll have us right-wingers saying that the left is acting fallacious in some sort of way, that we give out a new term to point out the fallaciousness of the left, like facts don't care about your feelings, or cancel culture, or anything else like that. And the left would almost unreasonably and, quite frankly, almost desperately try to, and failingly, that's the most important thing right there. Some of the times, not all of the times though, would some of the times, or a lot of the times anyways, failingly try to throw those terms right back at the right, because they're all like, it's just basically a big fat no you that the left is throwing right here. And that's basically what Hasan is doing right here, is just a big fat no you. And here's my thing. The key thing with cancel culture is that you're looking to get somebody in their more personal life, in their business life, affected. Like, get somebody fired. Like the whole hashtag fire Gina Carano that happened a few months ago when she had posted that one meme that was talking about how the Holocaust started off with the Nazis trying to get German citizens to hate Jews, and she was trying to draw a parallel to modern day of how the Democrats are trying to get Americans to hate conservatives, and so on and so forth. So that's a pinnacle example of cancel culture right there. And any other example of people actually because they do not like their politics, their political beliefs, or because they said some, quite frankly, tasteless thing in the way past that does not really apply to modern day, try to get them get them fired over that sort of stuff. That would be the biggest example of cancel culture. And here's the thing, listening throughout this entire video, as we'll go through it here in a little bit, not at any point do Ted Cruz, Steven Crowder, or even O.J. Simpson, as he funnily enough goes playing O.J. Simpson's take on the Ma'Khia Bryant shooting, and LeBron James calling for Officer Reardon, accountability on Officer Reardon. But, not any three of these individuals called for LeBron James firing. I don't even think they even called for his suspension, as he ultimately did get suspended for his opinions, or he I do not know if it's you could technically say he got suspended for his opinions, but nonetheless, the NBA ultimately did suspend LeBron James over this, is my knowledge of this anyways. And so, but no conservative, from my knowledge anyways, was actually calling for his firing over this sort of stuff. But I guess without further ado, we'll get into this after I see if there's anything here in the live chat for addressing. Wait, what? LOL, autocorrect wanted me to say, hey, dark brown instead of dark con. This is right further. Actually, it's more like dark black because I'm wearing nothing but black right now. You're looking especially dark tonight. Yes, I can't imagine being Chenk's family. Sentman 1000 says, Cenk yogurt, more like chunky yogurt, right? Red Feather says, a near stabbing. Exactly. Karma's Pimp. Hello, Karma's Pimp, by the way. Yes, they all think cancel culture is being criticized. Precisely. Countless Battery in the chat says, they know what we are talking about, but they strawman and cherry pick. And Karma's Pimp also says, not literally all, but a lot. Yes. I mean, it's certainly not all leftists are like doing a big fat no you to the right. And even when they do, in fact, do a no you, like a leftist will call a right winger like no bullshit, for example, an SJW or something like that. Those I will say is not as much of a failing no you. Those examples, anyways. Some examples of leftists saying cancel culture or SJW or anything else like that are legitimate. There's some leftists, I'm sure, know what we're talking about, says Karma's Pimp, but you see this common trend all over it. Then they go, the right are the real special snowflakes, all right? Anyway, let's get on with this, shall we?
Some of you already know there was a breaking news story yesterday of another police shooting that occurred while the verdict was being given 2 days ago on the Derek Chauvin trial. There was another police shooting in Ohio, which is, of course, expected because we live in the United States of America where police shootings are incredibly commonplace. Now, this was...
The question is, how often are those justified? Because that's one thing that is not exactly all the time addressed by the left when they go talking about the raw police shooting stat. Like it happens like I don't know, 1,000 times per year. There's like at least 1,000 people who die ending up by a policeman's bullets per year, and nobody goes like breaking down on how many of those are justified or not. And this, as I have stated earlier, the Ma'Khia Bryant shooting, Officer Reardon was, quite frankly, overall justified. Plain and simple. In the same way of, I would say, Michael Brown and Jacob Blake, another example, and the one shooting that we got talking about last week. I can't remember what the guy's name was, but there was a police shooting that we got talking about on last week's episode, of where that BLM, they were rioting in, it might have been Minnesota or something. I can't remember. Y'all can look back on the last episode, but it happened. There was a guy who ended up pulling a gun on police officers who were executing a warrant against him because he had this rap sheet of crimes that he had committed, arrestable offenses and whatnot. He pulled out his gun, and the police defended themselves, killed him, and that's another thing that just ends up inflating the stats of police shootings for leftists to utilize. But it's not broke down in an appropriate way, unfortunately. So therefore, we have people like Hasan who go trotting out that talking point as if it by itself really means anything.
Was in Columbus, where Nicholas Reardon, a police officer, arrived on scene seeing a commotion and fatally shot and killed 16-year-old Ma'Khia Bryant. We talked about this yesterday. At the time, there wasn't a lot of information available beyond the 911 call, how chaotic it was. Cops immediately released the body camera footage, and Ma'Khia Bryant was 16 years old, but was carrying a knife and was in the process of stabbing someone. Cop rolls in thinking that he is stopping a stabbing because the call made to the police department was literally about assault, potentially with a lethal weapon, and he rolled up and he shot someone who was literally in the process of stabbing. Now, the reason why
So I will give credit to Hasan where it's due. He goes summing up the story fairly well right there, but let's just listen a little bit longer of what he thinks about this story.
Mentioning this, and the reason why people got mad at me yesterday. I've talked about situations where cops shoot people with knives many times, people with mental health problems, people holding knives, people even holding guns, and this is, from my point of view, as far as what I have seen, despite being an incredibly tragic situation, especially because a 16-year-old who is shot and killed by the police was a unfortunate misunderstanding, or rather, from the eyes of the cop, a situation where he thought that he was going to stop someone who is literally in the process of murdering someone. This is not as black and white as the way people claim it is. This is one of those instances where, like, cops are supposed to stop people from murdering one another, and that's why the cop got out.
So you hear him right there. He was just like basically meandering around about getting to the point. It's just like, Hasan, get to your point. I mean, I know that I can get kind of rambly, but it just seems that Hasan is being kind of indecisive about his opinion on this. He doesn't want to actually get to the point of saying that it's justified. I mean, you can come to the conclusion that he is implying that, yeah, I think this one incident was justified on the cop's part and his actions and so on and so forth. But he just goes meandering about it so much, it makes one wonder. I don't know.
And was he murdering someone or not? Make up your mind. He shot and killed someone. He shot and killed a 16-year-old girl. The problem is that the 16-year-old girl was in the process of stabbing someone in front of the cop. As much as I want there to be non-lethal ways of dealing with this situation, it is a split-second decision in which, like, it's...
Oh yeah, we all wish that the police officer could have grabbed out his Indiana Jones whip and just whipped it at Ma'Khia Bryant, grabbing her wrist and pulling her hand that was wielding the knife away and make it drop it. We all wish that, Hasan. I'm sure we do, but unfortunately, this is the real world that we're talking about here.
It's not the same as like all these other situations in which cops have shot and killed people with knives when there are significantly better ways of apprehending that suspect.
Oh, I heard the tone of somebody joining. Hello, loudmouth.
Hello. Are we hearing the left discuss every child's right to stab?
Kinda. I don't know. It almost seems like Hasan wants to say that, but he knows he can't say that. So ultimately, what he's saying is that he does. Or at least he's playing the word service, the lip service that, yeah, it wasn't justified, but he's uncomfortable about saying it. You're saying that, loudmouth?
I love the Babylon Bee had a great joke article that said Fisher Price releases my baby's first knife fight.
Right. Hasan is not one of those particular lefties that was outright and proudly justifying it, but I have seen like plenty of examples of leftists saying, or at least implying, that it was justified. I even like saw this one meme get shared around on Facebook quite a bit that was comparing Ma'Khia Bryant to Kyle Rittenhouse. Like, why didn't they shoot Kyle Rittenhouse, but they shot Ma'Khia Bryant? Maybe it's because
Ma'Khia Bryant was in the process of stabbing somebody. Kyle Rittenhouse was not.
Right. The police weren't even present at the time that he shot the
These morons
first guy.
these morons, they like to compare two situations that are nothing alike and like, why are they different outcomes? I don't know, maybe it's these 100 other factors that prove the situation different. Nah.
And it was also comparing Dylan Roof, and obviously Dylan Roof has no justification in his actions.
There's no comparison whatsoever to that. These people are fucking insane, man.
The
I feel
only
like I'm living in like a South Park episode. I swear to God.
It's
not fucking nuts.
There is one particular comparison between Dylan Roof and Ma'Khia Bryant, is that Dylan Roof was unjustified in his actions in a similar way that Ma'Khia Bryant was. But the difference there is that the police showed up to Ma'Khia Bryant when she was in the process of killing somebody. She had just got done stabbing one other person.
I'm gonna stab you.
And then Dylan Roof, they found him just chilling in his car. And so there was more of a possibility and likability that they could, and in fact did, as the story played out, take him, apprehend him alive. Like, would we like it if the police gone full Judge Dredd on his ass and say your penalty is death? I mean, sure.
Yeah,
that's not the real world. People
morons,
have their due process.
They're literally advocating for that, but they're too stupid to realize they're advocating for that.
Right.
They don't even know what their own position is. They have no thoughts. They're just like automatons. I swear to God, this kind of stupidity. I can't fucking handle it, man.
Right.
It was 100% justified. He saved a life. And no, he could not shoot the gun out of her hand. All right, that was
or the knife out of her hand.
Yeah, you're right. The knife out of her hand. The idea that that it would be ever possible to do that in anything other than bad movies is insane. These people must like watch. I don't know, Batman like disarm a bunch of people with his batarang and think that's like possible.
Or they watch Steven Seagal movies.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, so as we know, On Deadly Ground is a documentary.
Right. So the main thing that I got opening up with in my criticism towards Hasan is that he goes saying that conservatives are canceling LeBron James. That LeBron James is a victim of cancel culture because they criticized the fact that he was calling for accountability, quote unquote, on Officer Reardon, who defended one other girl from Ma'Khia Bryant.
Yeah, him threatening on Twitter an officer who saved a young girl's life. Oh yeah, that was totally classy behavior. This cancel culture. Yeah.
Right.
I don't see Space Jam 2 getting canceled. Has Space Jam 2 been canceled? Has that been in the news yet? Is Space Jam 2 coming out?
I don't know. We'll have to see.
Well, I hope not, because it looks like a piece of shit, but still.
Even more so than the original Space Jam?
Yeah, it looks worse than the original. And honestly, the original was never a good movie to begin with.
Yeah, it wasn't that good. Anyway.
It never was.
All right, let's continue on, shall we?
All right.
That is maybe presenting a threat to the cop himself or presenting a threat to others. But this was a split-second decision where a cop is literally making a choice to save someone else's life. Just because I'm defending this one instance where it is not as black and white as you would expect, and that like cops are supposed to fucking protect people, does not change my opinion on policing and how fundamentally flawed it is in this country, or that cops shouldn't have guns to begin with.
I'm not gonna lie, that super chat audio that it goes playing in the background of him speaking is very distracting.
I mean, so far I kind of agree with the guy. He seems like he's being a bit more reasonable than a lot of people on this side of the aisle.
Yeah, he's being reasonable with his opening summary, but just wait till when he gets to responding to Ted Cruz, Steven Crowder, and whatnot.
Okay.
Anyway, I know that love to be like, oh, Hasan, you've changed, you love cops or whatever but don't worry, I don't. So LeBron saw this and said, you're next, #accountability. Now, I don't agree with the situation. I think that, I mean, this guy might be a piece of shit. He might have even said, like, Blue Lives Matter after the shooting.
Oh, yeah, Blue Lives Matter. That makes him a piece of shit. Disagreeable? Maybe in your point of view, but a piece of shit? Why do you say he might be a piece of shit and he might be for Blue Lives Matter in the same statement? You think
He stated that his life matters? Oh no.
Yeah.
no, that's bad.
Yeah.
I hate this guy.
And just to clarify to everybody, yes, Officer Reardon can quit his job whenever he wants, thus making him no longer blue. But the point of Blue Lives Matter is that police particularly those who have not committed any police brutality in any sorts, that their life does matter in spite of them being a cop. Just to clarify. We're not saying like thin blue line, oh, they are never to be criticized or whatever.
I don't think anyone has ever made that claim. It's just a massive straw man that idiots use.
Right.
Fucking cop. I don't expect him to be a nice person in general. Let's be fucking real. Sorry to all the motherfuckers who think
How do
I'm
you
like
know
that.
that? How do you know? Why are you judging a man you have never met before and know nothing about?
Mm-hmm.
When by all accounts his actions seem like they were correct. So
I think he's just going.
What do you know about this guy that would give you a negative opinion of him?
I think it's just the notion alone of him being a cop, like going off of his own negative stereotype generalizations of cops and saying that he's a bad guy because of that.
And I'll say fuck you to Son for that one. Yeah.
Most likely.
Yeah.
And hello, Cat Chat in the chat, by the way. Anyways.
Actually pro cop or whatever, and you're here because I'm giving you a reasonable take on this, does not change my opinion on ACAB or anything like that. There should still be accountability. First of all, if you fucking take your service weapon out and you fucking shoot someone, there should be accountability. There should, in every single circumstance.
The question is, what the fuck should he be held accountable for? I mean, if you are able to admit that Officer Reardon was completely justified, or at least mostly justified in his action, what does he need to be held accountable for? It's not murder, it's not manslaughter, it was defense of another human being that he was doing right there. There's nothing to be held accountable for in this exact instance, Hasan. Get off of it.
Exactly.
There should be a board that looks at this. There should be a civilian-led board that literally looks at this. So,
and imagine that civilian-led board is like mostly a whole bunch of ACABer, BLMers who go saying that all cops are bad no matter what, even if they kill somebody who was like in the middle of murdering somebody. So therefore, let's jail his ass just for killing, a potential murderer.
Yeah, exactly. What is he being held accountable for? What? I don't understand what even the argument is. There is no argument. It's just stupidity.
Like, I don't know if you watched last week's episode, Loudmouth, but
No.
BLMers gone literally rioting over the fact alone that a cop had shot a black man. But here's the thing: that black man pulled a gun on the police in the first place.
Sadly, I can believe it because a lot of these people, like I said, they're not rational at all.
Right? It's just sheer ignorance and stupidity.
Yeah. No doubt. In the case of LeBron, there's very few people who are more unethical in this country than he is. He makes millions of dollars every year shilling out to the Chinese Communist Party.
Yeah, that's another thing that Hasan is going to kind of meander around is how LeBron had treated the one issue of one of his managers or whatever, criticizing the Chinese abusing the Hong Kong protesters,
Yes, he offered criticism of a murderous authoritarian regime that's killed 100 million people. Freedom of speech don't mean freedom from consequences.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. South Park ripped him a new asshole for that one. I loved it.
Right.
Zero issues with LeBron James even saying this. It's very obvious what he's saying here is, not like we're going to fucking kill you or whatever the fuck conservatives are trying to make.
That's, that's my question. For one thing, a lot of people were being kind of threatening in that sort of manner towards Derek Chauvin. So in the context of that, and this was taking place right around the Derek Chauvin trial. So I am not going to sit here and state for an absolute fact that he was calling for Reardon's death, but I would not completely rule it out either. In fact,
yeah, that's what I was going to say. He doesn't directly call for violence here, but it is kind of implied.
Sorry.
So saying, we're so sure he wasn't. How do you know that? An implied threat is there.
Yeah, I mean, what if he was calling the mob for the intent and purpose of that is my question. And another question: wasn't there like a story of wasn't there a national story of another police officer who had got killed just for being a police officer right around the time of Ma'Khia Bryant?
I'm not sure about that one. I don't know about.
For some reason, I thought I remembered like earlier in this year, remembered that happening. I
mean,
could be wrong.
It is possible, but I'm not sure. I think I do. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. That your next refers to far more likely refers to Chauvin than this guy, and we're gonna like hold you accountable by the law. I can give him all those benefits of the doubt, and it's still despicable given the circumstances of this case.
Even if LeBron James was not like explicitly or even trying to imply a death threat towards Reardon, he's still wrong for saying that he deserves death or anything like that, just for saying that, for defending the pink girl from Ma'Khia Bryant's knife.
Right. Yeah, I can't even listen to LeBron James. Every time I listen to that man talk, I feel like Xi Jinping's cum is spitting on my face.
Right. So, anyway.
Yeah.
It seemed like he was saying, and people fucking lost their shit. The reason why people lost their shit is because here's a black man, very popular, who has spoken out on an issue that he perceives is yet another instance of police brutality. So people are freaking the absolute fuck out. Let's watch what he's.
Did you just notice the disgusting amount of race baiting that Hasan pulled right there out of his ass, loudmouth?
I kind of missed it.
Well, okay. Let me rewind it.
Don't rewind it. Just give me the gist of it.
He's saying that the reason why people are like quote unquote losing their shit is because here's a black man speaking out against Officer Reardon, speaking out against the police.
Yeah. What bullshit that a billionaire celebrity and star of Space Jam 2 is in any way like of a lower caste or speaking truth to power, opposed to a guy who probably makes what, $50,000 a year.
Who knows? But thing that I wanted to say is that Hasan, you're just plain full of shit. Conservatives go criticizing white liberals all the time and give them like loads of shit for their bad opinions. Like I just got off of fairly recently, I listened to Ranting Monkey and his co-host, Bad Comic Reviews or whatever his name is, go shitting on Keith Olbermann for his hot takes on I can't remember what the issue was, but they are out there. And not to mention Mark Levin goes like shitting on Chris Matthews a whole lot of time back in the day. It's the idea that it's because he's black why they're speaking out against him is the highest bit of race baiting bullshit.
It's
Hasan.
Such bullshit. Hasan he's an idiot. He doesn't really put any thought into any of his screeds.
Yeah, he's like an overgrown teenager, basically.
Yeah. Well, I mean, his uncle does the same shit. So,
right.
Do you hear any more intelligent discourse from Chunk Booger?
I don't know, maybe slightly.
Maybe slightly.
I at least did not hear Chunk go calling for saying that America deserved 9/11, which we'll get more into that here in a little bit.
So people are freaking the absolute fuck out. Let's watch what these psychopathic conservatives had to say.
Officials in Colombia.
So that's what I was waiting for right there. You know, that's like full-on projection that you'd be calling conservatives psychopathic just for criticizing and shitting on LeBron James, Hasan. Coming from you, the guy who said America deserves 9/11. Now, he sort of backpedaled that a little bit when he got interviewed by his own uncle. But really, the fact that he would say that at all was just, it's still more proof of you being like psychotically unhinged than conservatives just for criticizing LeBron James. Not to mention, you're like have a higher tendency of just unhinged, unreasonable anger. Over the weekend, I just saw him like get unhinged at Ben Shapiro just for saying the most milquetoast thing about race. Like, he was trying to like make an analogy as to how that the race narrative from the left is wrong by pulling up the basketball industry or something like that. And he just got increasingly louder and louder. And it's all like, dude, shut the fuck up. So you have no place to call other people psychopathic or psychotic or anything like that, Hasan.
I can't even imagine. I don't know if I want to subject my brain cells to it.
Right.
I got enough stress issues in my life.
Right.
Okay, I can't fucking.
Ohio are calling for patience and due process following the police-involved shooting death of a teenage girl. It's a complicated case. The girl, Ma'Khia Bryant, was swinging a knife at another woman when police arrived at the scene, and the Ohio Bureau of Investigations has begun a probe. But LeBron James has no time for due process. He wants that cop's hide now. James tweeted out a picture of the officer to his nearly 50 million followers with a simple and direct message: "You're next." Senator Ted Cruz of Texas is here now to react. Senator Cruz.
Fuck! I'm sorry. I'm doing it again. Trigger warning. Trigger warning. I'm about to show you Ted Cruz's face. Sorry. There needs to be accountability for someone like myself for routinely and consistently forgetting to give you a trigger warning before I show you Ted Cruz. Here is a Theodore Jebediah Cruz video.
Whatever, just get on with it.
To this tweet from LeBron James.
I'm sorry.
Well, you know, unfortunately, this is a pattern where the left consistently goes after, attacks, and demonizes police officers, and they do so often before the facts are known, often before there's any evidence of what happened. But their immediate reaction whenever there's an incident is the police officer's in the wrong, the police officer is the villain. In this instance, you're next could certainly be interpreted.
Shut the fuck up, dude. These motherfuckers.
No,
like,
you shut the fuck up. You shut the fuck up, Hasan. You're defending a guy who's one of the biggest police brutality advocates in the world. Want to know where there's a lot of police brutality going on against people who do not deserve it? Hong Kong! And you defend a guy who defends that kind of police brutality. You fucking maggot.
Sorry. Right. Hasan, what he said there was not wrong. I just find it amusing that you get so easily triggered over him stating something that is objectively true. Quite honestly, I don't like using the word objectively that often, but that very clearly applies to this. The left just gone up reacting before the facts are fully out, with even the whole Derek Chauvin thing. Even though I think that Derek Chauvin wasn't completely justified, but still there was still some extra context, and there was still pending investigation and criminality or incrimination going on with Derek Chauvin, and people acted too soon to where that he might have got too harsh of a sentence to where he gets let off. The Ma'Khia Bryant shooting and Jacob Blake as well. And the one incident that I reported about last week, again, where the left gone reacting too soon. So shove it right up your soy-filled ass, Hasan.
Dude, it literally says hashtag accountability. It literally says hashtag accountability, motherfucker. What does accountability mean? If it's your next, those two fucking words, and then the third word, 33% of the fucking tweet is literally dedicated to what he means. But no.
Here's the thing. Accountability can come in all sorts of forms. You gotta remember, Hasan, the death penalty has not been abolished in this nation. So there is that possibility. And not to mention, this is another thing that I forgot to address. Derek Chauvin being convicted of not only manslaughter, but also second and third degree murder. He could possibly end up with, I don't know. Does it only apply to first degree murder, or do you even know, Loudmouth, on whether
it only applies to first degree murder, and he got 22 years.
Okay, never mind. So maybe it doesn't quite apply, but all the same, for all we know, there's still the possibility that he could be implying that the type of accountability that he wants is be at least open to the possibility of death penalty. Who knows? It's not exclusive, Hasan.
They have to make it seem like a scary black man, a big scary black man, is saying that they want to murder cops. Fucking idiots, dude.
Interpreted by some even.
I mean, never mind.
As a call for violence, and I think it was a grossly irresponsible.
And this is the fucking cowardly Ted Cruz saying it might be interpreted by some as a call for violence. Yeah, motherfucker. He can't even say it with his entire chest to be like, oh, yeah.
You know what? That's kind of ironic of you, Hasan. You were meandering about earlier on saying that it was justified what Officer Reardon did in defense of the pink girl that was about to get stabbed by Ma'Khia Bryant. So who are you to talk about meandering right now, dude?
Yeah, here is scary black man doing a call to action, a call for violence. Because even he recognizes that it's not as 100% clear cut.
The race baiting, the amount of race baiting in this video is just so fucking clownish and amusing.
It should shock me, but it doesn't, because it's so typical of these morons.
Precisely.
It's not at all, actually. It's not even remotely a call for violence. It's literally a call for accountability, because it says #accountability on the fucking tweet. And then he deleted the tweet, by the way.
To send out and
Okay. I was waiting for when that he mentioned this. The thing is that the fact that he deleted that tweet does not really matter in the ultimatum of things, because a few weeks ago, as we had read from this article right here, LeBron James, he did take it down, and he was like somewhat walking back his rhetoric, but he wasn't walking back his rhetoric because he was regretful of what he said about Officer Reardon and what he deserves. He was walking it back because he thought that he was taking too much of the focus off of the fact that a little black girl died over this. So he did not really take back his words or what he thinks about what should happen to Officer Reardon. So again, doesn't matter much that he deleted the tweet.
No.
we've now seen the body cam footage from what occurred, and by any measure, it was a volatile situation. The woman who was killed was wielding a knife, was violent, appeared to be threatening the lives of others. It may well be on an investigation that this police officer saved the life of a potential victim of a knife attack, and we shouldn't jump to conclusions.
For the record here, like, this is the last still before she gets shot, so there is no blood on, it's not TOS. But like, she's literally, she has a knife in her hand. You can't really tell from here, from this angle now, but you can tell it from the previous angle. But she has a knife in her hand, and she's literally trying to stab the other person.
There needs to be an
That still did not prevent other leftists, not you, Hasan, but other leftists from still saying that Officer Reardon was not justified in his actions. That picture did not go that viral.
He should have shot the knife out of her hand.
Right.
He should have also used a Jedi mind trick on her.
Karma's Pimp in the chat says race baiting. There's another term I do not think the left understands. Yeah, I have seen them misuse the term on occasion. But nonetheless, this is like pinnacle representation of race baiting right here. Oh, you're only criticizing this black man just because he's black, not because you legitimately and, you know, disagree with him. Anyway.
Not because he's made implied threats on an officer, and he's apologizing for an authoritarian regime that's murdered 100 million people. That's not the reason. No.
Right.
Anytime there is a shooting that takes someone's life, it should be investigated. The facts should be determined, but the left doesn't care about the facts. They care about demonizing and attacking law enforcement, and I think it's wrong.
You know, and further, you know, expansion of what Ted Cruz just said there was like a meme that I saw shared around on Twitter like a few months ago that said that basically you're a bootlicker if you go saying anything along the lines of, we need to see the full context of the video of the police officer brutalizing somebody, or the full context of the story in general. So the fact that that meme was even made, it just goes shown as example that Ted Cruz is right. Left doesn't care about facts when it comes to police. They don't care about the full context of these stories. This is bloodthirsty.
So the thing is, like, LeBron already deleted this tweet, okay?
Hashtag not all leftists, by the way, y'all.
He even apologized for saying that it was, he didn't want to, I guess, heat up the conversation more, something along those lines. And, sorry, but isn't asking for accountability a good thing? Absolutely is. I think even in this instance, the cop should get accountability. In any instance where you shoot.
Accountability for what? You have not specified what you want him to be held accountable for, Hasan. And you even said that he's justified. You're making no sense.
Didn't kill someone, a citizen, you should, even if that citizen literally has a gun, even if that citizen is pointing an actual weapon at you, you should still have accountability.
What if they're actively using it on another innocent victim, you dumbass? God. You want to, like, say that it's objectively a fact that Derek Chauvin, in fact, did kill George Floyd, regardless of whether or not that drugs were in George Floyd's system. But when there's, like, camera footage right here of Officer Reardon's actions against Ma'Khia Bryant, You let the principle of, oh, we got video footage, you let that principle go fucking out the window, apparently.
Accountability is important to have in every single circumstance. That cop killed someone. You might think it was warranted. You might think it's one of the very, very, very few instances where, like, a police shooting someone is warranted. And even then,
very, very few. The vast majority are warranted. The vast majority, when they're investigated, are ruled to be justified.
Mm-hmm.
The vast majority. When you actually look at the cases, case by case, they're all like this. Well, not all, obviously, but sorry. So the vast majority are like this, where the cop had no choice.
The cop had no choice, or they had a reasonable suspicion that they were going to act violent on the very next millisecond if they didn't shoot. Like the Adam Toledo story comes to mind. Well, right. in that regard. But anyway.
Accountability. Okay, what's accountability in this case? A civilian-led police department board of investigations will conduct an investigation into the shooting and declare it a legally justifiable one. Most likely is what would happen in this situation.
Why do we need a board specifically to say that, Hasan?
Well, they already are investigated. Every single shooting is heavily investigated.
And even then, like, accountability, what does that mean? Oh, that means that we have a board that goes looking into this and determining that, yes, it's justified. People are already saying it's justified. You don't need to waste money that way.
Maybe they'll prove that the knife in the hand is like photoshopped or something that was CGI. I don't know. Is that what they're gonna do?
I don't know.
It'd be like the plot of some crazy movie,
right?
And I don't know. Maybe it was a plot to take over the world.
By the way, I keep on forgetting to open up with this, but this live stream is brought to you by patrons like you, and the patrons so far are Cat Chat, Ma'Khia Stray Cat, and The Conundrum. And if y'all go checking out my Patreon page down below, there are some benefits for becoming a patron of the Dark Conservatarian channel. If you donate 20 or even more, your request for an edited response video to whatever video of your choice will be taken in and executed. Anyway.
Anytime a gun is taken out and fired, there needs to be a good reason for it, okay? The issue with cops is...
And you admitted that there's a good reason. Damn it.
Yeah, there was a good yeah, the whole kid getting stabbed thing, that's a pretty good reason. It's probably more justified than anything else ever. A kid where someone's literally wielding a knife to stab a kid.
The amount of double speak and reaching that Hasan is doing right here to try and pull some cop is still questionable sort of rhetoric in this case. It's ridiculous.
His brain is broken. It's discombobulated.
Yeah, it's flattened out from all the stretching and reaching he's trying to do with it.
It's like one of those scenes in Futurama where the logical conundrum in a robot's brain will cause its brain to explode.
Right.
Is that they think that it is justifiable use of force in literally nearly every single circumstance when it's not.
About this, and I know a lot of people are saying, well, you can't really cover it because LeBron took down his tweet. I'm sorry, the king. LeBron James claimed, by the way, back in the day, before he tweeted yesterday, basically a call to violence, tweeted that he didn't support...
A call to violence? What a pussy, dude. If what LeBron James is saying, if accountability seems like a fucking call to violence to you...
What a pussy. These high school... These fucking high school insults that he is pulling right here. Calling him a pussy. Of what cowardice is Crowder
how old
expressing?
Is this guy? Really?
29. I found out on Google, on my Google search of him. 29 years old.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, grade A insulting on your part, Hasan. Not.
Call him a poo-poo head.
Let's go even earlier than high school grades. Let's go down to all the way back down to kindergarten.
Might as well.
Then what the fuck is like actual acts of violence? Motherfucker, you recreated murder. You recreated a murder scene to try to justify the acts of Derek Chauvin against George Floyd, and you pussied out from like actually...
I do not know the full context of that, and I'm going to say just right now, reiterate what I said. Derek Chauvin should not have put the knee on on George Floyd's neck, even if that
Well,
wasn't the.
everyone agrees with that. I
Yeah.
don't know a single person who thought that was appropriate use of force. It was obviously excessive force on a guy who was cuffed.
I don't know. That's according to Hasan right here. That Steven Crowder believes that, but I'm not going to like believe his word. I'm not going to believe him as far as I can throw him for all I care.
Yeah.
Fucking recreating the scene because it made you uncomfortable and you were scared that you might die. Mind-boggling to me that like this same pussy is like, I can't believe a black person said hashtag accountability. That's literally murder.
The violence of the Black
Maybe that's why he's a gun holster, because he's fucking afraid of a shadow, dude.
Lives Matter riots. We covered it with
And the editor thought that this was grade A content from Hasan. The little baby impersonations of Steven Crowder. They thought that and all the rest of the shit was just grade A.
Wait, this is an edited video? I thought this was like a clip of a live
Yeah,
stream.
no, it's edited. Like, okay, it is a
Are
clip
you
of a live
fucking
stream,
kidding me?
but it's edited down. Like, Hasan, as far as I know, he has his own editor that goes back. That goes back to his live streams and edits down the clips to a digestible length, and also edits out all the dead airspace, like him just like not speaking or saying or getting distracted with the chat or anything else like that, you know.
That's nice. So let's go back to then.
I've never, in my 35 years, ever condoned violence.
Four score
Never have.
and seven.
But I also know what's right.
Only
and
black
wrong,
guys can do the
wrong,
Lincoln.
And I grew up in the inner city, in a black community, in what we call the hood or the ghetto, however you want to picture
Grew up
it.
in Akron.
And I've seen
Yeah,
a
ghetto's
lot
in
of
Akron.
counts firsthand. A lot of black people, being, I guess, racially profiled because of our color. But not one time have I ever said, let's act violent towards cops.
Until yesterday.
I just said that.
Till yesterday. Oh God.
But
These guys-
bullshit, LeBron. You are again an apologist for the Chinese regime. When black people were being evicted from their homes throughout China on the ludicrous notion that they were the ones spreading the virus, where were you? Why weren't you speaking about that? Why are you still taking their money?
Mm-hmm.
You hypocritical, lying piece of shit.
You're directing that specific rhetoric to LeBron, though, you say, right?
Right, yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. He's still taking money. All right. He's lining his pockets with a regime that literally were evicting black people from their homes by accusing them of spreading the virus.
Right. The reason why I asked that is because at a later point of this video, Hasan does say, but in kind of a Weasley kind of way, that he does not agree with LeBron's apologia of China, but nonetheless.
Okay. Well, I guess kudos to Hasan. Very little, but yeah.
Very little, because he's being
little.
kind of spineless and like calling out the flaws of LeBron.
Yeah.
guys are such pathetic little bitches, dude. I'm sorry. Bro, listen. If you literally see a fucking black dude say, "You're next," hashtag accountability, like accountability is coming, just like it happened to Derek Chauvin, and you think, "Oh my God, this person is being scary. He's a scary black person." It is.
Even if he wasn't calling for death, he's still fucking wrong because of the fact that he wants he is implying that this guy should be jailed in the same way as Chauvin, when really he doesn't deserve jail. Officer Reardon, I mean. You're saying, Loudmouth?
Well, does Hasan say anything new, or does he just keep repeating this? I think he's like made the same really bad high school level argument like 10 times.
I don't know. Maybe maybe the rest of it isn't exactly worth responding to.
Yeah, it's kind of it's starting to get boring.
I should probably just move on, but I will say, just for further clarification, yes, I fully admit, as I have listened to this a little bit earlier, that Hasan does have a few criticisms of LeBron, namely being an apologist for China. But nonetheless, he's kind of, again, go back and listen to the video yourself. He's a little bit Weasley about it, but yeah, we're gonna just move on because I cannot remember if there's like anything else worth responding to after the 10-minute mark. So
yeah, he just seems like he's repeating himself with the same shit.
But what I say in conclusion, LeBron James, conservatives criticizing LeBron James for calling for quote-unquote accountability of an officer that really doesn't deserve any kind of punishment or accountability. That's not cancellation. I mean, yeah, I will say that there still is the possibility that LeBron was ultimately not calling for death, that people are wrong for saying that he wasn't explicitly trying to call for death, but that's about it. And even if they are like wrong in that aspect of their criticism towards LeBron James, that's not really cancellation. What is cancellation is if they wanted his firing, but they didn't. And again, if you look back at the video, not at any point does Steven or Ted call for his firing. The NBA just did it of their own volition. That's all. Anyway, so speaking of cancel culture, Loudmouth, what's your opinion on Seth Rogen?
I never really liked the guy. I can't think of a single movie that he has had a significant role in that I like that much.
Well, you're going to dislike him even more. Accept it. Seth Rogen reportedly says comedians should stop complaining about quote-unquote cancel culture.
I mean, I guess I like the Kung Fu Panda movies, but that's only because his role is really small in them.
Right. I mean, I never really hated Seth Rogen for his acting. I did get a kick out of Green Hornet, at least for the first go-around anyways. But he's not my go-to either. But yeah. Anyway, so
I will admit a couple of the scenes with him as the cop in Superbad did make me laugh a bit, but that was a long time ago.
Right. So sticking to the issue of cancel culture, this is an article that I've been saving for a little bit now. Actually, it is posted on May 25th, 2021. But since we're on the issue of cancel culture, I thought it'd be the appropriate timing to actually finally feature this article. Actor Seth Rogen reportedly weighed in on quote-unquote cancel culture and said comedians should stop complaining about it and quote-unquote accept it if their jokes have not aged well. I think there are certain jokes that for sure have not aged well, but I think that's the nature of comedy, the 39-year-old actor, writer, and comedian shared Tuesday during his appearance on Good Morning Britain. The comments were noted by The Independent. Related, Seth Rogen says he has no plans of working with James Franco in the future after allegations of misconduct. Wait, what? Wow. That's surprising because Seth Rogen and James Franco, I always knew them as acting buddies in Hollywood, but I guess no more.
But, I mean, Seth Rogen threatening not to work with you is like cancer threatening to leave the body, but okay.
I won't disagree. But as far as I'm concerned, James Franco is overall the more likable actor between the two of them. I mean, James Franco is not as oblivious and, obnoxious with whatever leftism he has to speak. But Seth Rogen saying that...
Because Franco's been in a few good movies where you weren't a bit part of cartoon Manus.
Right.
He was actually in Spider-Man 2002, which is a great fucking movie.
Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2?
Yes, and not to mention Rise of the Planet of the Apes, which is excellent.
Oh yeah, James Franco. Yeah, he is in that one. I actually have the first one of that trilogy. I gotta watch it sometime.
Yeah, good movies.
Yeah, some rather decent movies. I mean, James Franco, he can be a bit of an obnoxious twat in Hollywood with his form of acting, but that doesn't really speak of him as a character. But Seth Rogen, he has before called for protesters to just stop protesting the lockdowns. As we had reported on the show sometime last year. And now he is saying that people should just accept it. Accept the cancellation. And here's the question that I want to pose to Seth Rogen right here. As far as jokes not aging well. Now, I don't know of any examples of you making quote-unquote sexist or racist jokes, Seth Rogen. Excuse me. But I do know that in the interview that you and James were in a scene making fun of tiny penises at one point. And when your character shoved that one capsule up your ass, up his ass, And so what if sometime in the future there is people will say, oh, you're penis shaming or something, and people cancel you for that? Are you going to say keep up with your logic of I think there are certain jokes that have not aged well, but I think that's the nature of comedy, and that that you should just take it just because your joke hasn't aged well? He doesn't want to take in the context of the time. He wants to. I don't know. Basically, we are a bankrupt society if we go like canceling things that have not aged well. If we have like a new moral standard today as compared to yesteryear. Like, oh, this person was once a slave owner, or oh, this person was once racist towards black people. Therefore, we should just cancel them out of the history books or whatever, and just dismiss whatever good that they did do in spite of their racism or whatever, you know? Anyway, I think conceptually these movies are sound, and I think there's a reason they've lasted, he added. Jokes are not things that necessarily are built to last. So my question also is, should we cancel Blazing Saddles? He also said he doesn't understand why comedians are complaining about cancel culture. Because they're losing their jobs, you dipshit. Ain't it obvious? I mean, the people have a financial loss through this kind of shit. I mean, Gina Carano would be an example, although she did not get canceled for comedy, but still. I don't understand what they're complaining about. The Knocked Up star said, if you've made a joke that's aged terribly, accept it. And if you don't think it's aged terribly, then say that. Sure, why not? But that doesn't mean that they should be canceled and fired for it. It's one thing for you to say, for you to be looking back and saying, oh yeah, that hasn't aged well. But it's an entirely different thing for you to make a whole campaign on smearing somebody's name, saying that they're a bad person and should get fired. Two different things, Seth. Look at the bigger picture. Getting criticism is one of the things that goes along with being an artist. And if you don't like that, then don't be a comedian anymore. So apparently, Seth would be one of those people who would unironically think that conservatives are canceling LeBron James just for them criticizing him. Because apparently, Seth thinks that just mere criticism is cancel culture. Fucking bullshit, Seth. He continued, I was never a comedian that made jokes that were truly designed to target groups that were subjugated in some way. I press X to doubt. What do you think, Loudmouth? Loudmouth? Oh. Okay, he left. See you later, Loudmouth. Thanks for coming on when you did. I just got back. Is this a new article? Asks JC Armitage. Yes, it is a new article. Well, let me see here. I want to get caught up on, actually no, I'm going to finish this article and then I'm going to get caught up on the chat a little bit. Have we done that without realizing it? Definitely. And those things are in our movies and they're out there, and they're things that I am more than happy to say that they have not aged well. Okay, whatever, dude. The Superbad star recently made headlines when he called Republican Texas Senator Ted Cruz a fascist and said his words caused people to die. Other famous actors and comedians have also shared their thoughts on cancel culture, quote unquote. How has Ted Cruz's words caused people to die? I mean, is he even implying that somebody should die or whatever? Is he making some implication in the same way that people think that LeBron James might be implying? I highly doubt it. I just say citation needed, Seth. Anyway. Red Feather says, Hasan is someone who should be next. I agree with Loudmouth. LOL, JC being a cringe lord is Hasan shtick. Exactly, Red Feather. Hasan is just a cringe lord. I mean, I can be kind of cringy, but Hasan is just fucking childish with his words and whatnot. I'm more man-childish, if anything else. But Hasan, no, he just outright, he's like a playground bully saying nana nana boo boo to the littler kid in the playground. Virgin demilitarize the police versus Chad militarize the populace, says JC Armitage. Well, I think she meant to say demilitarize. I mean, nobody is trying to, I don't know what you're trying to say exactly with that chat comment, JC. Redfeather says, everyone give Dark Conservatarian your thumbs. He loves them. Yes, everybody, don't forget to hit that thumb up button down below if you are liking this content. Thank you all for watching thus far. Thanos Destroyer 69,000 years ago says socialists are idiots. I'm not going to disagree with that. I guess stupidity is inheritance, says Mr. Who, as he said a lot earlier. Yep, I mean, in Hasan's case, it definitely is. Shouting at Cloud says, yes, I agree, Kyle Rittenhouse is 100% correct. Or innocent, excuse me. Indeed, shouting at Clouds. If someone is trying to take your car, you should probably run them over. That's fine. Someone's trying to take your gun. Well, we know how that works, right? Karma's Pimp says, people who might be like, why would they hire him? I see no difference. Redfeather says, I personally think the cop was a good shot. No one else got injured. Right? Right? I mean, he's a decent enough shot as it can realistically get anyways. LeBron is super racist. AJ Maverick Sidex says, hello, dark arm conservative, night shift's friend here. Dark arm conservative? Well, I mean, I do have a little bit of a tan going on this arm, but nothing real dark about me except for my getup. Blue Lives Matter is not akin to racism, says Countless Battery. Yep, I agree. Although some people would unfortunately say it is. From my logical and moral point of view, can't say take your right to defend yourself. Our country will end up a disaster like Brazil. Everybody putting walls around their house. JC Armitage says, well, to be fair to Hasan, cops are funded by stolen money and enforce the tyrannical legislation the government implements, but then again, I don't expect Hasan to be smart enough to figure that out. Yeah, he definitely would not frame it that exact way, JC. I mean, he probably still believes that cops should be a thing just so that he can so that they can enforce whatever gun control or economic control legislation that he wants implemented in society. Oh, a business is denying black people or gay people entry or business. Have the police arrest them. Oh, this person is refusing to turn in their scary assault rifle 15, aka not an assault rifle, the AR-15, then send the police after them, and so on and so forth. Shouting at Cloud says, we are going to have to strip the police department back some on a local level and go back to justice of the peace, but leave the Texas Rangers. It's going to be really hard to purge the police department of the Freemasons and stop them from making our police into Israeli army. Okay, shouting at Clouds. Thanks for the live chat comment. Karma's Pimp says, someone got shot for being a cop, then a citizen shot the cop killer, so the cops killed the guy who shot the cop killer thinking he was the mad gunman. In Colorado. Oh, right. Is that the story that you're trying to say was happening around the time of the Derek Chauvin trial, Karma's Pimp? JC Armitage says, trigger warning because of Ted Cruz, what a douchey cringe lord. I mean, it does get kind of old. I mean, haven't leftists had enough of milking the whole Ted Cruz's face is ugly joke yet? I don't know. They probably will never get tired of it, honestly. I mean, I do realize that fully that Hasan was just joking right there when he was all like trigger warning on Ted Cruz's face, but I was just all like, whatever, just get on with it. Let's see. Karma's Pimpo, this is definitely a clear example of race baiting, but since we are on the topic of terms the left misuses, oh yeah. Right? Indeed, Karma. True loudmouth, but there is still plenty of corruption. Hasan will never focus on any real corruption, though. Right? He'll get on those cases of where that it'll actually tug at people's heartstrings a little bit more. Daniel Hempel says, hell, in California, every time a cop discharges a firearm anywhere but the range, they get investigated by a shooting board. Yeah. Let's see. Look up John Hurley, says Karma's Pimp. Alright, maybe it's something that I'll save for later. But anyway, so moving on to the next big story of today's episode of Strike Force. Biden pledges vaccination campaign will go door to door after falling short of July 4th goal. Excuse me. Now, I've seen this story making the rounds on both Facebook and Twitter, and I am like right hot on the commentating on this story. The Biden administration is set to deploy more resources to areas where vaccine uptake remains low after narrowly missing its 4th of July goal of getting 70% of adults at least one shot. What if those people don't want the shots? What are you going to do then? Are you going to start forcing people that's what this seems to be building up to. I'm going to try to remain calm throughout this. But in all seriousness, fuck that shit, Joe. We are continuing to wind down the mass vaccination sites that did so much in the spring. Now we need to go to community by community, neighborhood by neighborhood, and oftentimes door to door, literally knocking on doors to get help for the remaining people protected from the virus. President Joe Biden said Tuesday. I wonder if a reporter actually has the balls to ask, what if they refuse to get any vaccination at all, any shot at all, Joe? What are you going to do then? The Biden administration will redouble its efforts to chip away at doubt about the vaccines by partnering with about 42,000 local pharmacies and primary care physicians' offices where people feel most comfortable receiving medical advice. The administration will also boost access to the shots at pediatricians' offices for children 12 to 15, needing physical exams before returning to school in the fall. I'm going to mute my Discord tab right there. As we shift from these centralized mass vaccination sites, we're going to put even more emphasis to getting vaccinated in your community, close to home, conveniently at a location you're already familiar with, Biden said. Let me go ahead and search this up right now, actually, before I forget about it. The John Hurley story that... wait, what? No, come on. There we go. John Hurley. Alright. Like I said, save that for later. I have the tab up. Biden narrowly missed his holiday goal to get 70% of adults at least one dose of vaccine and 160 million adults fully vaccinated. To date, just over 150 million adults have been fully vaccinated and about 67% have received at least one shot, according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Vaccine hesitancy remains a problem in some southern and midwestern states, despite wider access to vaccines. Unvaccinated people run the risk of getting infected with the strain of the coronavirus known as the Delta variant, which has caused enormous outbreaks in India and has been estimated to be around 60% more transmissible than the highly infectious Alpha variant, first discovered in the United Kingdom in September 2020. The administration announced last week that it would send out specialized teams made up of public health experts to help supply COVID-19 tests and therapies, such as monoclonal antibody treatments to people living in countries with higher rates of new COVID-19 cases per capita, such as Arkansas and Missouri. The vaccines have been shown to work against the variants circulating in the United States, including the Delta variant, which makes, well, if the vaccine works against the Delta variant, I don't understand. Let me finish this article. What am I going on about? Which makes up roughly 26% of all active cases in the country. The CDC has signed off on vaccinated adults ditching their masks while encouraging other non-vaccinated people to continue wearing them. Okay, here's my thing. The vaccine is already damn well full available, and it is being shown, by my observation, to be fairly effective against the coronavirus. And they even admit the extra deadly Delta variant, as the CDC is apparently putting it. I mean, if you are like so scared of this virus to where that you want to protect yourself, well then go ahead and take the You know, take the vaccine yourself. But don't go forcing us to do it. If any of us, the reason why I'm not taking the vaccine personally is mostly because of the fact that I think that I am pretty damn sure that I have an immunity to it. Because there was at one point in which that I had hugged somebody who ended up testing positive the next day. I had been directly exposed to somebody who ended up testing positive the next day. And yet another week later, I didn't test positive at all. I tested negative, and then another week later, I did not get any serious symptoms that would imply that I had caught coronavirus. Some of my other family members, I would even say, are immune to this virus as well, as they got exposed to this family member who tested positive as well. So that's my reasoning personally. But for all of us who are refusing to take who are not so willing to take the vaccine, let me put it that way, not refusing, but not willing to take the vaccine, don't find it worth our time, whatever. How does that hurt you at this point, pro-vaxxer guy? If you're so scared of it, go ahead and do whatever you want. But if we don't want to do it, that's on us. No one gets to suffer from not taking the vaccine except for, vaccine refusalists, I guess I'll say. I'm not going to say anti-vaxxers because I'm not going to run along with this bullshit term that because you don't want to take a vaccine, therefore you're an anti-vaxxer. That's not the definition of an anti-vaxxer, and the definition should have never been changed that way at all by anybody that is an anti-vaxxer. Somebody who's all like, I don't want to take it, and I don't want to mandate people take it. You know what? Since I'm on about this, let me show you this, you guys. So, there was this guy called Mark Judson for Congress. Okay, let me close that down. Mark Judson for Congress, Scorched Earth Dem 2022. MAGA is incapable of understanding that the benefits of living in a society means that they have an obligation to that society. With COVID, that means wearing a mask and getting vaccinated. Criminally charge the anti-vaxxers. Hashtag COVIDiots. You're a COV fascist is what you are. Or I don't know. We need to come up with some nickname for all these people who want to start mandating that people get vaccines and even criminalize people for being against this sort of shit. I mean, give out some ideas in the live chat there. What do you all say that we nickname all these COVID fascists right here? Because that's what I'm going to solidly call this guy, a COVID fascist. He wants to criminalize people who are quote-unquote anti-vaxxers, criminalize people who are not one to wear masks, who are not one to get the vaccines even. Seriously? And this guy, if you go looking into his bio, he's a combat vet. It goes to show that there are some ex-military members who are full-on left-wing fascists, y'all. And this guy is also running for office. Help us God if this guy ends up winning his election. But anyway, that's the question that I go wondering about Joe here. Do you want to start taking the same route as this Mark Judson sociopath right here and start jailing people for refusing to take the vaccine or whatever? Fuck that. Oh, sorry. Salesperson says red feather. Conscious type person says LOL. Trump lost. Captain Obvious here. I'm more afraid of the hurricane headed my way. Should I blame Biden or Trump? Asks red feather. I don't know. Sounds like a drill for door-to-door gun confiscation to me, says JC Armitage. Yeah, it's setting up a bad precedent nonetheless. No matter what way you spell it, the precedent is being set by the Biden administration. Hopefully he doesn't take it any step further, but still, it's just all fuck this. Come on. I'm due for a shot September, says Catchet. Okay, and I'm not going to discourage anyone from taking the vaccine. If you want to take the vaccine, Be my guest. I just personally don't think it's worth my time or effort. We already have a nickname for these types of people. Branch Covidians, says JC Armitage. Branch Covidians. Bash the Vax Fash, says Red Feather. Right? I don't know. If we call people on the left who go advocating for this sort of bullshit, for this sort of bullshit right here, if we call them fascists often enough, will that mean that we start like directing Antifa members to start punching them in the face? No, I'm not being serious, by the way, folks. I'm not advocating for Mark Judson or anyone else who goes advocating for this kind of authoritarianism to get punched in the face. But it's just, it makes you wonder, if we call them fascists enough, will Antifa start to officially turn on Democrats even more so than they turn on people on the right? Normies get out in the chat says masturbators. Oh jeez, yeah, because they keep on right? Because they keep on fetishizing the idea of masking up and whatnot. Masturbators, says Red Feather. I don't know. Either one works as far as I'm concerned. Alright, so moving on to the next article, I guess, because we still have some time here. It's only 1 hour, 21 minutes so far. Bloomberg.com. Iceland cuts working hours with no productivity loss, same pay. Now, this is interesting to me. I just thought that it'd be a little interesting piece of information to go ahead and check out here. Or maybe I should like go on to read this story actually. No, I'll save that for afterwards. We'll just do these two stories and then we'll call it good. I think anyways, depending on how much longer we go. How long is this article? No. Can I? You've reached your free content limit. No! Oh, God. Shit. Hopefully I can, like, get back to that same article. Oh, God. Sorry, I'm apparently boomering it up here, people. No, I want to... oh, God. 1 second here, folks. I'm going to... see if I can, like, get the link back from my own... wait, no, I can't. I cannot get it back from my own freaking... From my own links in the description. Maybe if I pull it up. Okay, so note to self, do not go scrolling down too much on these sorts of websites. So anyway, we're going to try to stay on focus here. Red Fire says BoomerCon. Right. Sorry about that. JC Armitage says, I fucking hate it when that pop-up happens as well. Yep. The free trials, there's a paywall on some of these articles. It gets annoying. Normies Get Out says use VPN. I do actually use a VPN from Malwarebytes actually, but just for the sake of conversation, what type of VPN would you recommend Normies Get Out? So anyway, without further ado, Iceland, this isn't a very long article at all. I thought it'd be longer, but anyway. Iceland cuts working hours with no productivity loss, same pay. Iceland has achieved the holy grail for working stiffs. Same pay for shorter hours. Results from 2 trials of reduced hours showed no productivity loss or decline in service levels. That's odd. Where are the details? While employees reported less stress and an improved work-life balance, researchers at UK-based think tank Autonomy and Iceland's Association for Sustainable Democracy said in a report. My biggest question would be, what automation has there that came in supplementing some of those working hours? I mean, that'd be one way. That'd be one way in which that productivity would stay the same in spite of people like working less hours. Maybe this report is worth looking at. Oh, the report is available here. We'll read that in a little bit. Achieving shorter hours with sustained productivity and service levels involved rethinking how tasks were completed, according to the report. That included shortening meetings or replacing them with emails, cutting out unnecessary tasks, and rearranging shifts. The trials conducted from 2015 to 2019 cut hours to about 35 a week from 40 with no reduction in pay, involving about 2,500 workers, equivalent to more than 1% of the Nordic countries' working population. Results showed their well-being dramatically increased, the researchers said. Since then, 86% of Iceland's entire working population have either moved to shorter hours or can negotiate to do so. In Nordic pure Finland, damn it, I did it again, y'all. Can I? Fuck me. So I was trying to finish up the article. In Nordic pure Finland, Prime Minister Sanna Marin, 35, has suggested a 4-day work week is worth looking into, saying employees deserve some of the trickle-down benefits of improved productivity. Even so, her government is currently not working on such policy. Okay. Well, such policy, maybe because she doesn't want to government institute it. She goes encouraging this sort of thing, but she doesn't want to advocate that, oh, that's how businesses are to work from here and now on. I mean, I will say that Norway or Iceland, the Scandinavian countries in general, have been proven to be more economically free than the U.S. Specific details have to look into it more, like they don't have a minimum wage and so forth. If that is really confirmed to be absolutely 100% the truth, well, then this would be a stark example of, hey, you don't need to control the market in order to advance people in society, social democrats. The only way that they are like more left-leaning than the U.S., the Scandinavian countries, is because they have a more sophisticated welfare system. That's about it. Oh, jeez. Red Feather says, "Can I fuck me?" DarkCon 2021. Oh, Red Feather, you've been spending too much time with Blind Girl, I tell you. Well, that didn't explain a whole lot, says JC Armitage. Well, we'll get into this, the actual report itself right here in a bit. Normie's Get Out says, I got NordVPN. Maybe I'll have to look into that sometime. Anyway. So, Alda.is. Alda and the UK-based think tank Autonomy today published the first comprehensive report on the Icelandic trials of shorter hours that were conducted in 2015 through 2019. The trials were run by both Reykjavik city and the Icelandic government. The main results of the report are from 2015 to 2019, Iceland ran 2 large-scale trials of a reduced working week of 35 to 36 hours with no reduction in pay. The results have been analyzed for the first time in a joint project by Autonomy and the Research Organization Association for Sustainability and Democracy, ALDA, in Iceland. Iceland ran 2 large-scale trials, blah, blah, blah. Okay. My question is, how are they approaching this? Are they doing it through government coercion or free market solutions? Anyway, analysis of the results, which included 2,500 workers, over 1% of Iceland's entire working population, suggests important lessons for both employees and businesses. The trials were an overwhelming success, and since completion, 86% of the country's workforce are now working shorter hours or gaining the right to shorten their hours. What do you mean the right to shorten their hours? Like, they can try and negotiate it to the best of their ability to have their hours shortened, but if a business doesn't want to give you shorter hours, or else you go ahead and get your job terminated for not showing up for those appropriate hours, that's not exactly your inherent natural right. Productivity and service provision remained the same or improved across the majority of trial workplaces. Worker well-being dramatically increased across a range of indicators, from perceived stress and burnout to health and work-life balance. The trials also remained revenue neutral for both the city council and the government, providing a crucial and so far largely overlooked blueprint of how future trials might be organized in other countries around the world. So this might be a little bit more worth looking into. It says that the full report is right here, and it's 82 pages. Damn. An 82-page report. Strategies for working time reduction. Participating in workplaces, maintaining service provision, continuing the path to shorter working hours in the public sector, in the private sector. It should be noted that unlike the trials, not all these changes were brought about cost-free, though in some cases reduced working time did not have a financial impact due to the productivity gains achieved in the trials. There were a number of workplaces where this was impossible and more staff had to be hired. Increased costs for the Icelandic government are estimated to be 4.2 billion ISK yearly, 24.2 million GBP, 36.6 million US dollar, due to increased staffing in healthcare. Indeed, 2/3 of the total costs are estimated to be in healthcare alone. 27th of April 2021 by Ingvarsdottir, if that's how you pronounce that. To put these numbers in perspective, however, the budget of the Icelandic government in 2019 was 891.7 billion ISK, or 7.1 billion US dollars. Government of Iceland 2018. Hence, the overall cost remains a fraction of total state spending. Reductions in working time have remained popular and uncontroversial since the new contracts were signed. Bjarke Olsen Gunnarsdottir, member of the Icelandic Parliament of the Left Green Movement, one of the current government's coalition parties, insisted that shorter hours will give people more freedom, flexibility, and control over their working hours, which are never too many. We should continue on this journey, and I believe the next step is to reduce working hours to 30 hours per week. Question is, what method does anyone know if Iceland has a minimum wage? You know what, let me go ahead and look that up right now since I got mentioning it. Iceland minimum wage. Minimumwage.org. Because Iceland does not have a minimum wage, there is no mandatory minimum rate of pay for workers in Iceland. Pay rates must be agreed upon directly with the employer through collective bargaining or other means of negotiating a fair living wage. What is the Iceland minimum wage? That's from a website called minimumwage.org. Federal minimum wage, as its tracking, is $7.25 an hour. Iceland minimum wage, labor law, and employment data sheet. Iceland minimum wage rate 2021. So this is quite an interesting bit of research, but I don't think I'm going to make you guys... okay, actually this is super short, so let's read it here very quickly. Because Iceland does not have a minimum wage, there's no mandatory... Already read that. What is the Iceland minimum wage? Iceland's minimum wage is the lowest amount a worker can be legally paid for his work. Most countries have a nationwide minimum wage that all workers must be paid. Iceland has no government-mandated minimum wage. However, minimum wages are negotiated in various collectively bargained agreements that, and applied automatically to all employees in those occupations, regardless of union membership, while the agreements can be either industry or sector-wide, and in some cases firm-specific. The minimum wage levels are occupation-specific. Iceland's minimum wage was last changed in 1st of January 2015. What do you mean last change in 1st of January 2015? As in it was abolished? Because that's the only implication I can get from this paragraph right here. You say that currently they have no government mandated minimum wage. And you say the last time it was changed was in 1st of January 2015. Facts and statistics about Iceland. Iceland is a country located in the Nordic countries region with a population of 279,000 and an average lifespan of 79.4 years. Okay, yeah. All right, so approximate yearly minimum wage, non-applicable, ranked by minimum wage, 122 out of 197. Gross national product, $8,255 US. I'm not going to make this a sort of Destiny style stream of where that I just do a whole bunch of on-stream research with you guys, go reading all these articles. So I'm just going to move on for right now. Right now we are like 1 hour and 34 minutes. Minimum wage is 3 chickens and a goat per month. LOL, I'm JK, right? Just kidding. But yeah, there's the answer to your question, JC. Iceland has no minimum wage. I'll probably provide these two links down in the description box below for if anybody wants to read them on top of all the official articles being read. But anyway, CBSNews.com. Tensions high as white man arrested after racist rant against black neighbor. This from CBS News. Sorry, had to clear my throat there, y'all. But anyway, I got coming across this article and this one too, for that matter, when I was just randomly searching for articles that were being featured by Facebook. And I thought, interesting. Is this a case of where that CBS News is just being proud of the fact that a racist is being arrested for their mere free speech? And that's exactly the first impression that I got from this article, was that basically a racist was arrested for their free speech. And unfortunately for all the anti-racists out there, racism is still applicable under free speech. Hate speech is part of free speech. I mean, if you want to start legislating against quote-unquote hate speech or racism, you're just plain not free speech. The only exception that I could see of people being arrested for their speech is if they're making an active death threat. And that was my thought when I gone just looking at the title here. Is if he's making death threats against his black neighbor, then fine, yeah. Go ahead and arrest the fucker. But looking into this article, as I saw the first paragraph, the racist gone assaulting his black neighbor. So there is a bit of a justification right there alone to have arrested the racist, but for his assaulting, not for his speech. But let's just get a little bit further into this article. Mount Laurel, New Jersey. A white man seen on a video pushing a black neighbor with his chest and using racist slurs to address the neighbor and others Friday has been arrested. And the thing that's kind of disappointing with me about CBS News is that they're focusing more on the fact that the white man was, racistly ranting against his black neighbor. Not the fact that he was assaulting the guy. I mean, could care less about the fact that he assaulted the person. It's the fact that he called him the N-word that is even worse than that. That's the attitude that I'm getting from this title. I'm not saying that that's their literal thought process, but still. So it makes me go wondering, are they just proud of the fact that speech was suppressed here? But anyway, Edward C. Matthews, at 45, was arrested Monday evening after hundreds of protesters gathered outside his Mount Laurel town home for several hours, CBS Philly reports. Things got tense as Matthews was led out by police. Now, what I did was not acceptable. It's completely wrong, Matthews is seen saying in another video taken by a protester on Monday before his arrest. In the footage showing Friday's confrontation, Matthews gives his address several times before finally walking away, saying, come, expletive, see me. Come fucking see me, I guess. This is not Africa, Matthews can be heard saying in the video, according to CBS Philly. This monkey over here and this monkey over here. You go saying that you're wrong after you get confronted. You shouldn't have said it in the first place, Matthews. Being a jackass, even if you did not assault him, you're just being a fucking racist jackass. In a statement posted online Monday morning, Mount Laurel police said Matthews was charged with harassment and biased intimidation, but was issued a summons and wasn't arrested. What? Tensions high as white man arrested after racist rant against black neighbor. And then later you go saying, in a statement posted online Monday morning, Mount Laurel police said Matthews was charged with harassment and biased intimidation, but was issued a summons and wasn't arrested. Is there something that I'm missing here? Is there some later context that they go clarifying in the later parts of their article, or did CBS just fucking contradict themselves? Let's see. The protesters were angry that Matthews was allowed to return home and were demanding that he be detained, CBS Philly explains. On Monday evening, prosecutors told a news conference they were bringing new charges against Matthews based on additional video footage. Police stood at Matthews' home's door Monday. When officers moved to arrest him at around 7:30 p.m., footage posted by a reporter shows protesters throwing objects and liquids toward officers and Matthews as they walked to a police car and then at the car as it drove away. So even when the police officer is arresting a racist, you know, all these anti-racist protesters, they still don't like the police. And by the way, when I'm saying it, just to clarify, y'all, when I'm saying the term anti-racist right here, I'm not meaning the SJW version of anti-racism, just to clarify. Or I'm not going to say one way or another of what type of anti-racism, quote unquote, that they are believing in or expressing or whatever. But nonetheless, moving on. Police say they're investigating other incidents involving Matthews. Many people in the area claim he's been harassing neighbors outside his home for years, CBS Philly says. In what way? Was he just being a pissy asshole, or was he actually assaulting people as shown in the first paragraph? This is America. We all live here. We cannot put up with this, Aaliyah Robinson remarked to the station. Right. Several years ago, her daughter Jasmine lived in an apartment below Matthews in a nearby complex. When the recent video was shared online, Jasmine decided to upload one she had taken down. I was literally in fear all the time living with my son. Like, what am I supposed to do? Jasmine Robinson said. Another neighbor told CBS Philly that at least 10 others have been continually harassed due to the color of their skin. He used a BB gun to shoot their windows out. What the fuck? Why wasn't he arrested longer time ago? What the absolute fuck? Sounds like a drunken ass. Basically, yeah, Red Feather, he's acting like a drunken ass indeed. He smeared dog feces all over their car, one neighbor said. I totally understand why the protesters were here today. They had seen videos that weren't available to us on Friday night that were even worse, Burlington County Prosecutor Scott Coffina said. Once the new video was reviewed, new charges were added, including assault, and the decision was made to arrest Matthews. All right. The protests that had been peaceful all day got heated as police and SWAT units pulled Matthews from his home. Why would you get heated as they're executing an arrest on the fucking racist? You ungrateful pricks. Calm the fuck down. 2 arrests were made after Mace was allegedly tossed by a member of the crowd. Mount Laurel is 19 miles east of Philadelphia. I find it hard to root for anybody here. I mean, certainly I am against the racist jackass for his assault and damaging, or at least alleged damaging of property. But I cannot cheer on the protesters either, because they're just being unruly to the police in this instance rather needlessly. The police were not doing anything wrong in this instance. Calm your tits. Alright, so 1 hour 43 minutes. I think I might just go ahead and get this article out of the way since it's a fairly short one. But after I get caught up with the chat here a little bit. Oh Lord, please don't turn into Tiny Manlet. No, Red Feather, don't worry. I'm not going to be a miniature Destiny in that I'm going to just be all like debate me bro consistently on my live streams. Like, that's not to say that I'm not open to debating. Anybody who wants to debate me, hit me up on Twitter or Discord or whatever medium that you can, and we'll come to an arrangement. But I'm not going to be like Destiny, exactly like Destiny in that regard, and I'm not going to come to agreement with all of his beliefs. I thought that Destiny was a complete and utter Chad when he was debating against Vosh when it came to Kyle Rittenhouse, and debating against Vosh on a few other issues as well. he did good against Richard Wolff as well. Although I do have an issue with the fact that Destiny was all like, we shouldn't be moralizing economic systems, and I'm thinking to myself, I mean, it's just a matter of fact that economics is a bit of a moral issue. Destiny, what do you mean by you don't want people to be moralizing over this issue? There is a moral argument to be debated over economics. But aside from that, I liked him when he was debating against Richard Wolff, Professor Richard Wolff. Having a Confederate flag in your yard can be considered assault under some people's definition, says Red Feather. Oh, right. Even just like shouldering an American flag can be considered something to the equivalent of assault. I mean, there was a video that I shared like about a year ago or something. It might be less than a year ago, where a MAGA guy, he was just having his MAGA hat on, and he had an American flag that he was shouldering and just walking around with it. And there was this one little college student girl who was just all like being a fucking baby trying to get that flag away from him, even though she ultimately knew that she wasn't going to get the flag. Even though that the guy was holding steady to his flag and trying to get back from her, she was still like, give me the flag. Just, oh man, it was so disturbing, that kind of childishness right there. Okay, so it was an actual confrontation. Yes, it was, Red Feather. It was indeed. Sensationalized headlines. Precisely, CBS News made this more of a speech issue than an assaulting issue, but by the title anyways. I mean, in this specific story, criticize the racism all you want, but the main issue should not be the racist speech itself. It should be the fact that this guy was damaging other people's property and assaulting people because of them being black. But just in general, assaulting and property damage. That should be the main focus of this. Not his speech, but CBS wanted to focus on that. Red Feather says, police are racist. They're going to give the racists a break. Right? Oh, I guess they feel like if the police are racist, they're going to give the racists a break. Okay. Exactly. This dude is shooting up people's houses with BB guns, but they did nothing. I guess it's white privilege or something. Would be the point of view from leftists on this story. Yes, that's weird. They called the police and then berated the police. Precisely, Red. JC Armitage says, it's possible that the agitators in the protesting crowd were feds trying to spark a riot. I'm not going to rule that out, JC. Because this is so ridiculous that they're just being a bunch of fucking poes. It's just me babbling. JC, that's an interesting consideration. Precisely. Anyway, last article of the day, then we're going to wrap this up. From CNSnews.com, Representative Omar once retweeted post supporting 2017 attack on Rand Paul, silent so far on latest threat. This is from May 25th, 2021, and a little bit of an old article, but I still thought it was worthy of pointing out. Representative Ilhan Omar, Democrat of Minnesota, who in 2019 retweeted a post by actor Tom Arnold justifying a brutal attack that left Senator Rand Paul, Republican of Kentucky, with 5 broken ribs in 2017, has yet to tweet about this week's anonymous threat to finish the job Paul's attacker started. I mean, I think it's safe to say that Ilhan Omar, she does inwardly ultimately want Rand Paul to die. Maybe she's trying to suppress that because she knows realistically that in a civilized world, you cannot just be attacking people just because they happen to be libertarian. But that's probably what she still ultimately wants. On Monday, Senator Paul received a threatening message along with a suspicious package prompting an FBI investigation, Fox News reports. Okay, you go citing Fox News. You could have done a little bit better, CNS News, as far as your who you cite for this story. Oh, whatever. The FBI is investigating suspicious package filled with white powder and bearing an image threatening violence that arrived at Republican Senator Rand Paul's home in Kentucky Monday. On the outside of the envelope was a picture of a bruised and bandaged Paul with a gun to his head and a threat printed beneath it. "I'll finish what your neighbor started, you motherfucker." As CNSnews.com reported at the time, on July 29, 2019, Representative Ilhan Omar, Democrat of Minnesota, retweeted a tweet from actor and activist Tom Arnold that mocked the assault on Senator Rand Paul, who suffered 5 broken ribs in the attack and had to have part of his lung removed. Damn. Pity. The tweet reads, "Imagine being Rand Paul's next-door neighbor and having to deal with Rand Paul lying, cowardly, circular, whiny bullcrap about lawn clippings. No wonder he ripped his toupee off." Toupee? You blind or something? Like, that doesn't look anything like a toupee. Rand Paul's hair anyways. Rand Paul's neighbor is Renee Butcher? I don't know. Might as well be Renee Butcher because the fact that they were attempting to butcher Rand Paul. He attacked Paul on, it might be Boucher because I think that's a French name, Renee Boucher. He attacked Paul on November 3rd, 2017 when Paul was outside mowing his lawn. Boucher eventually pleaded guilty to assaulting a member of Congress. Representative Omar does not appear to have utilized Twitter to chime in on the latest threat against Representative Paul to date. Okay, so let me take a look at this. www.duckduckgo.com. Rand Paul death threat. Rand Paul receives death threat. MSN. Senator Rand Paul receives suspicious package containing death threat, I guess. Rand Paul says family. That's from Fox News. The New American Senator Rand Paul receives death threat. YouTube. Rand Paul receives death threat in package with white substance. Rand Paul receives chilling death threat as white powder. That's from the Sun.com. Rand Paul receives chilling death threat as white powder. ... Newsmax. Senator Rand Paul receives death threat amid Fauci clash. ... PR conservative. Rand Paul receives death threat. Suspicious package sent. And Rand Paul's wife has a serious message after latest death threat. Townhall.com. It's mostly a bunch of organizations, a bunch of news media outlets on the right reporting about this. Aside from the Sun. I don't know how right-leaning the Sun is, but nonetheless, it still seems to be mostly right-wingers reporting on this. Why aren't there any other mainstream news outlets aside from Fox News or left-leaning outlets that are reporting about this? Although I guess MSN.com is... What? The fuck? Okay, look at this, y'all. MSN.com. Clicking on it. Whoops, the page is gone. To find something new. MSN removed the page. So, apparently MSN doesn't count right here. God. MSN, you're honestly a bunch of pussies to have taken this down. Spineless. Red Feather says, sorry, but imagine if Rand Paul was black. Right? Anyway, Red Feather says, like Trump said, why doesn't Omar care about what's going on in Somalia? Who knows? I think that's where we're going to wrap up this stream right here, folks. And might I say thank you all for joining, and I probably would have responded a little bit further to the Hasan Piker video, but the thing is that it was getting kind of repetitive, and I did not want to lose Loudmouth as a co-host as quickly as he had left, but it is what it is. I mean, what are you going to do about it? But anyway, for all of y'all who have watched and tuned in, and thank you, Loudmouth, for ultimately joining. Honestly, bro. And thank you all for watching and for all the likes and views and live chat comments and whatnot. So next week we will get to the other TJ Kirk video that I wanted to respond to. I will not let anything get in the way right then. But until then, see y'all later. Good night.